Hello, this is What's All About with a world exclusive, very first real life review of the brand new Christopher Ward C1 Grand Malvern Power Reserve. Bit of a mouthful, but that's the brand new model as you can see here. So it's quite a significant watch. It's the very first model to be housed in their brand new Grand Malvern range of cases. As you can see, it's very different to what they have been producing. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. But it also introduces, well, it doesn't introduce, the Power Reserve has been used before, but we have obviously this latest rendition of the SH21 in-house movement with the Power Reserve module. Okay, so the price, it is £1,550 if you want to have it on a leather strap. This is the blue leather strap. You can spend a little bit more, £21 more, £1,576, and that will get you a Milanese mesh bracelet, which looks quite nice. I haven't actually seen it in the flesh, but it looks quite nice according to the pictures. And it's not bad value for money, really, for an extra £20. So, yes, it is £1.5 grand, so, you know, it's not necessarily a crazy affordable watch, but what you do get for the money is, you know, quite an outstanding timepiece. So let's talk about the specs. Obviously, the movement, it is it's completely visualized as well. As you can see, it looks absolutely stunning with the introduction of the twin flags logo engraved on it, and then we have a signed rotor as well. So really, this is the star of the show because it's their own in-house movement, and it's a chronometer. It's COSC certified. So to get this kind of quality at £1,500 is quite astounding, really. Has 5-day power reserve, powered by these two barrels, 120 hours. That is. So you know, it's quite a feat of engineering. The size is quite a pleasant size, so it's 40.5mm in diameter. I've got a 7.25-inch wrist, so you can use it as an example there. So 7.25-inch wrist, 40.5mm diameter, a height of 12.8. So it has got a fair amount of height to it, but it's mainly because of the movement there, and a lug-to-lug length of 48.55mm to be precise. So it fits well on the wrist, provides a lot of wrist presence as well. Weight wise, it's 87 grams, so you know, for a smart dress watch, it does feel good quality. It feels weighty on the wrist, but not like crazy heavy like a full metal bracelet would. So very comfortable to wear, but it feels very good quality at the same time. It only has 30 meters water resistance, so I wouldn't recommend you go swimming with it or wear it in the shower or anything like that. Chances are you would appreciate the fact that it's a fine luxury timepiece, and you probably wouldn't risk that anyway. We have a 20mm lug width, reducing down to 18mm. We have a Beta deployment clasp here, which I really like. The strap is Italian shell cordovan leather, so it's very soft, very good quality as well. Another nice little feature about it is it has quick release pins as well, so you can really easily swap it and change straps if you want to. Another cool feature is that we have the twin flags introduced, printed on the underside as well, which is a very nice touch. Moving on to the case, we have these, they're described as light catcher lines, which is very nice, like cutouts down the side. It reminds me very much of like a sports car, maybe like an Aston Martin Vanquish. Very curvy, very nice to visually, but also the manufacturing and the finishing is top notch to match the design as well. So excellent job by Adrian Buchmann, their new senior designer, with the case as well. As you can see, we have the twin flags engraved on the crown as well. We have a sapphire crystal on the top, so very thick, very gives a good decent thud when you tap it, and we also have a sapphire crystal on the underside also. So we'll just go into a little bit closer detail for each element. I don't want to keep you too long. So the dial, as you can see, very minimal design, also very very stylish and excellently manufactured as well, as you would expect. So we can have it in this white dial, or you can have it in black or blue. So as you can see, we have applied hour markers. Interestingly, we have a 12 and 6. That's fine. Very nice elongated numbers. Very smart. And then the baton hour markers aren't at every single hour, which is quite unusual. I don't know the reasons why, and I'll admit initially I thought it was a mistake. So just be aware that these odd numbers, so 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11, they just have printed lines, and then these alternate numbers have applied batons. I mean, everything on the dial is beautifully made, beautifully manufactured as well. They're, as you can see, they're polished, so they reflect the light very nicely. Very cool feature is the new style power reserve indicator, and I really like the way that it's a C to match the logo, the C from Christopher Ward. That's very clever, ingenious design, but also a very effective way of displaying the reserve. So obviously each dash equals a day, so we have 5 days power reserve, and it's just a very subtle but neat way of showing it. And despite its simplicity in design, it's actually quite, got a little bit of complexity there to the construction of it. So we'll have a look at that with the macro lens in a bit. Printing is all fine and precise as you'd imagine, and we have nice blued, pitched hands as well. So moving on to the case, we have a nice blend of polished and brushed surfaces. So we have this brushed swish down the sides, down like the top side of the sides, as if you will. Everything else is polished, so we have a polished bezel, polished case back as well, and the underside of the side also. So everything is really nicely manufactured, and it just gives you this like luxurious vibe. The crown is just push pull, but that has the, as mentioned before, the twin flags logo deeply engraved on it, so that's nicely finished as well. Very easy to use as well, so it provides you with a good amount of grip, although it can be a bit stiff to wind the movement in its stand position. But if you're wearing it daily, obviously it's automatic, so it'll wind itself anyway, so you probably won't need to hand wind it. Okay, so let's just discuss the strap briefly. So this is the blue version. You can get it in black, light brown, or dark brown as well. But I mean, I've never ever had an issue with Christopher Ward leather straps. They've always been excellent quality, and this is no different. So very soft to the touch, very supple straight out the box, very easy to break in, and it's just really comfortable and very hard wearing as well. We have a nice addition with the quick release pin, so it's very easy to change straps if you want to, and then the twin flags passing through here as well, which is another very nice touch. The Beta buckle, I do really like it because it's very easy to use, very secure at the same time, but also very thin. Has a thin profile, and also the minimal amount of steel that actually is in contact with your wrist. As you can see, the bottom half of the leather strap actually protects your wrist from the joint and the angle, and it's just this bit which is in contact with your skin. So it's very comfortable to wear. No issues with that whatsoever. One interesting thing that I was surprised by was the we have obviously the logo engraved on the inside, very nice, but we don't have anything on the top bar, which was a bit unusual to me. I initially thought maybe this is a mistake and this is just sample model, but according to the pictures on the website for the for the ones going out to the general public, there's no logos on that either, which is quite unusual, but obviously that was a design choice. Okay, so just moving on to the movement. it really does steal the show because it's just absolutely stunning. I love what they've done with the new style bridging with the twin flags engraving on it. It's quite exceptional, and with this new bridging as well, it's dramatically increased the amount that is visible to the eye as well, because usually you can't see a lot of these kind of workings around here, so it's really increased the amount you can see, which obviously, you know, if you want to see, if you're interested in seeing a mechanical movement, you want to see as much of it as possible. So that's a very nice touch by them. And then this signed rotor is also very nicely done as well, with the Christopher Ward like set into this deeper bit as well. So that's very, very nicely done indeed. So let's get the macro lens on, and then we can look at it in even closer detail. So starting with the dial. So here's the 5-day power reserve indicator. So you can see we have a nice little inset where our markers are. So despite it being quite simple, it has a little bit of complexity to it, but it also is just very cleverly designed. Moving on to our blued hands, so you can see they're pitched. No issues there whatsoever, excellently manufactured and applied. Quite an interesting pitch to them as well, almost expands and goes out towards the tip. And then our straight point for our running seconds hand. Our printing is all very precise, as you would expect. And then we have our baton hour markers and no baton hour marker there. And then at 1, just a print as well. Looking at our 12, as you can see, very nicely manufactured and polished, absolutely spotless really. Automatic chronometer. So that's the dial. So let's move on to the case. Just give it a quick wipe down. Start off with the crown. So there's the twin flags, very deeply engraved there, and just the grip of the crown. So you can see there the grip isn't the deepest, so that's why it's a little bit difficult to wind the watch. So just make sure you wear it instead, and you won't have any issues. So this is the light catcher lines on the case. So we have this brushed profile of the top side, as it were, and then on the underside we have a polished and then polished bezel as well. It's quite hard to focus on. And polished top of the lugs as well. Just get the underside wiped down. So here's the case back. So you can see it's secured in place by 4 screws. They have some details, very lightly etched. Actually no, they're not lightly etched, they're quite well, quite deeply engraved actually, as you can see there. So then moving on to the movement. So here we have the twin flags engraved on the bridging as well. As you can see, that is, you know, quite, considering the size of it, it's quite remarkable. A bit of finishing really. If I try and move the rotor out of the way, we can see the cogs there. Oh, very nicely done, isn't it? Excellent level of finishing. So here's the rotor itself. It's Christopher Ward. Help if it stops moving. Very nicely finished on that as well. So the twin barrels are up here. If I can get you. So this is one of them. I can't really show you both of them because the rotor keeps getting in the way, but that's one of the barrels where half of the 120 hours is stored. And there's the other just there. Okay, so moving on to the strap, we have quick release pins on the underside. And again, our twin flags are appearing here as well. Very nicely stamped. So very nice attention to detail there. On the top, the leather is all very soft. We have this blue stitching to match it as well. And then if we just have a look at our Beta deployment buckle clasp, there's the logo engraved on the underside. And then if we shut it, we just have this plain brushed top with our side triggers on either side, like so. Okay, so £1,550, I mean, there's no denying that is a fair amount of money. But as with all the watches with the SH21 within them, this range still offers excellent value for money. The movement itself, if you think about the amount of development that's gone into it, each watch is COSC certified as well. It's a chronometer, so that alone costs, you know, a fair amount of money. So you are getting a movement that will perform to the same level as any of the really high-end luxury watches, you know, Omega, Rolex, anything like that, because it's got this certification. But at, you know, arguably a fraction of the price. The finishing of the watch is tremendous as well. The design, excellent. I really can't fault it. Even with the logo in the 3, which some people were quite concerned with. They didn't particularly like it too much when that was very first introduced. I think it really suits this watch, mainly because the balance between the numerals at 12 and 6 is very well balanced in general. You know, the logo works well with the power reserve indicator as well. So I'm more than happy to highly recommend this watch to someone looking for a luxury watch, but on a slightly, you know, lower budget than an Omega or a Rolex. The finishing is outstanding. You obviously get a 5-year warranty with Christopher Ward as well. So, you know, there's nothing really negative to say about it. The only things I would question is the strange omission of the hour markers and also the lack of a logo on the buckle, but that is really nitpicking. Everything else is quite fantastic, and especially the movement. I mean, just look at that. It's absolute joy to view. So so this was the Christopher Ward C1 Grand Malvern Power Reserve, and that's what it's all about.